We are live now. Um, so I guess the last time we joined, Georgia was the number one team in the country. We had a lot of wind in our sails.
My, how times can change.
Yeah. So a lot of things. Oh, yeah. This is going to be annoying. I don't really like that. We're going to change that real quick. The sudden change. Deal with it. Um. There we go. There's a lot of things that have happened. The biggest news of, I guess, for right now, this week, this moment, has been the Dylan Raiola co- flip commitment. No one really knows. It's kind of up in the air. If I had to put money on it, I would think Raiola goes to Nebraska, um, even though he's still committed to Georgia. He's taking his official visit, I think, Saturday. He'll be flying up there on Friday. Some Georgia fan found out what plane he's on, which is not.
On a Delta flight?
It is a Delta flight. It's the only Delta flight out of Atlanta to Lincoln, and it's at 2 o'clock. So if anybody wants to stop the plane and beg him to stay,
Won't be any begging from this guy.
No, I won't be begging from me. I guess I'm not gonna bash a kid, whatever. But what I don't understand is moving. He moved 4 different high schools, right?
I don't know. All I know, he moved from Arizona to Buford, so I can't any more background than that. I have no idea.
And he moved because to be closer to the Georgia program. He went to every Georgia home game and was the lead, recruiter. He was recruiting guys up to 3 days ago on social media.
What do you think that says to the guys that he recruited? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I would.
Yeah, well, that's a good question too. What like there's commitment issues, and I'm sure Raiola's a great kid, and all that, but there's commitment issues and there's leadership issues for sure. That's Matt DeBerry, friends at Dog Post, said it's not a red flag, but it sure is a purple flag. And I tend to agree with that. There's something wrong. But here's the thing: this is gonna be spinned as Georgia's losing. Its reign of terror is over with. It's the dominance of college football for Georgia is starting to slowly slip. This 2-3 year run that they've had is not going to last. I don't think that. Huh?
You said this run of 2 to 3 years. It wasn't 3.
Well, no, and we can get into that too. You have a much more negative view than I do, but I just don't think that's the case. I think, honestly, this shows you the new era of NIL that we're in. I think this shows you where we're at with money and contracts and Kirby. There is a rumor out there, and I don't know the validity of the report, but of multiple people that I trust kind of have reported it, that there's a falling out between Raiola and Georgia's coaching staff sometime last weekend. And what it was that Raiola got an agent, and Nebraska, who's always been in the hunt, obviously because he's a legacy, offered a ton of NIL money. And the guess is that they said, "Hey, this is what Nebraska's doing. Can you match, or can you do something?" And Kirby and company said, "No, that's not what we do. What we can offer you is, you can get NIL money. You can probably make that money if you come to Georgia, but we can offer you, development and become a NFL quarterback." I think that's what there's going to be these type of players and these type of storylines that we're going to have with Kirby and
not only about recruits. It's about transfer portal too.
Yeah, Yeah.
Much bigger. I think that, I mean, it's your show. We'll take it any direction you want to, but that to me is a much bigger conversation than Raiola.
Well, I mean, that's
what
kind
is
of
going on in college football, man. It's just, I don't know. I don't recognize it anymore, and I'm not really sure. I know you wrote an article about it on Dawn of the Dog. I'm not just agreeing with you because, we do this show together. I'm agreeing with you because this is a complete departure from what college football has been, evidently is going to be. And as fans, we need to recognize that and get our heads adjusted to it. And then it's up to us ultimately to make a decision on whether or not we want to be fanatics, right? That's what fans are.
Yeah.
Hard for me to be sold on the fanaticism that came in with college football in general, and especially Southeastern Conference, when one quarterback goes, playing for Georgia one year, and I'm not banging on the guy, I'm just using this as an example, playing for Kentucky the next year. The guy that was playing at running back for Florida is now on Georgia's team. I got to be honest, man. I'm just using that. I'm using those examples, and I did that on purpose. It's not about specific players, or it is about the concept. The concept of this has gotten way out of whack. Whenever you have high school kids for a decent player, high school, 17 years old, that doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. It doesn't matter how smart and how savvy they are. 17-year-old kid, I've been there. I know. I've been around a lot of really smart ones, not me, but other ones. They don't know what they're doing. And they're being offered $1.5 million for a decent player to come play football.
No, more than $1.5 million.
Whatever, right? It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
No, a 5-star quarterback rule said it. A 5-star quarterback's $2 to $3 million. And that's the problem,
Out of high school.
Yeah, out of high school. There's a problem with that, and I guess it is what it is. We're not going to bellyache, but Georgia's not going to play that game. So I don't. College football is going to look a lot different, and it'll look different in about 2-4 years.
I think it already looks different.
Sure, it looks different, but what about the depth? The reason why all these teams are having success and why Georgia's had success, why Alabama's had success, is the depth. Is that going to go away? And which I think it is.
So players, mercenaries that are willing to come in for 1 to 2 years and be on the roster and maybe fill some gaps, who are going to get a bigger opportunity by how they flash and what they get on film. Yeah, you got a permanent minor league football program. That's what college is going to become.
So I don't know. I mean, obviously, I always care about the University of Georgia. I always care about whether we win or lose. I wrote in the article, will I stay up and wake up at 9 a.m. and stay up and watch 3 a.m.? I don't even know if there'll be 3 a.m. games anymore with the Pac-12 being dead. That's another thing. I have no idea. I used to enjoy that. No, I wouldn't. I'm just not. I'll pay attention to the games I have to pay attention to that matter to Georgia. But outside of that, I don't care what, if Oregon's playing Washington, at 11:30, why am I going to watch that game? There's no reason for me.
Here's why. Game. You play amateur scout. Who could Georgia pick off of Washington's team to come get them to play?
Yeah, I'm not that interested in that.
Well, I'm just telling you, that's what this is all going to come down to.
Another thing is the fans being invested, and I think this is also another thing that there's going to have to be adjustment to. Fans going, oh, haha, Florida lost out on this guy, or haha, Georgia lost out on that guy, whatever it is. That does not matter anymore. And really, recruiting outside of being decent and being, in the top 10,
matter. Waters down, yeah,
it waters it down completely. So, and then you're also going to have a watered down effect with, and we can talk about it, I guess, now, since we're all on a roll here. But the 12-team playoff completely waters down the conference championships.
That has definitively been watered down the last year of this.
Oh,
Team that gets, I mean, okay, I'm not, but a team that gets penalized for playing in their conference championship is bullshit. So
yeah.
they can explain it away. They can do whatever they want to and make me feel really good about the analytics and how, smart they are. But at the end of the day, if a team gets penalized, nor do they get penalized for playing in the game, and then you have a different standard because TCU, if memory serves me correctly, they didn't win their conference championship, and they still got in.
Well, Alabama's done that twice.
Sure. So that to me is, I don't know. There needs to be a governing body around college football. I sound like an old man, in his chair saying, "Get off my lawn." But unless there's not, you're going to lose really good coaches. Because think about that, man. Roster management, you're constantly recruiting your own team. You've gone now from an early recruiting period to a later recruiting period. At the same time, you have transfer portal open. Good God.
It opens that Sunday after championship Saturday.
It's very easy for a coach to go into spring practice and probably know 40% of his roster. Fair?
And know what he has. Yeah, now. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, and look, these kids that are transferring, now we're going back to the recruiting thing, but the kids transferring from Georgia, the only one that has been a head scratcher to me is Mekhi Muse. Like, I don't really understand that one, but whatever, more power to you.
Got paid, man.
Maybe he's
going to get paid. That's why he did
it. And then also, if he's transferring because he wasn't on scholarship, what the fuck are we doing, Kirby? Put the guy on scholarship. I don't know. I mean, he seemed pretty good to me, but the roster management and these kids leaving that have left, I don't begrudge them because most of them have stayed 1 to 2 years. They're not probably going to get any more playing time. God bless them. Go do your thing. I don't have a problem with that. The players who are just leaving to leave for money, the players that are leaving, just to leave because they think the grass is always greener on the other side. That's where I have a problem, and that's why there needs to be rules. And waiting for Washington D.C. to do anything.
I really don't.
That's what college.
Tuberville's leading the charge, right?
Huh?
Tuberville's leading that charge in the Senate.
Yeah, which is stupid. It's stupid because you got Major League Baseball got involved with the fucking government, and it hasn't been the same since. That was one of the worst decisions they've ever done. And I wasn't alive for that, but it was obviously the effects have been bad. So, looking for Washington to fix any of this is crazy. It's what's going to end up happening.
Have you ever known Washington to fix anything?
No.
How about healthcare? That worked out really well for us.
Yeah, no. Well, this is a political show, but
and anything they touch is jacked up.
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. I hate them both. So there you go. Wow, what a stand! YouTube will love me. And what's going to end up happening is there's going to be a major scandal, and it's going to cast a huge dark cloud over college football, and then something's going to be done. It's always been the trend in college football. The whole reason why the NCAA was even existed is because Kentucky was taking dives in basketball. That's the whole reason. So there's going to be a major scandal somewhere down the road. Don't know when it's going to be, but there's going to be one, and it's going to change the entire how this is going to work. But like you're going to have teams like fucking Nebraska who are desperate to win a title, and their donors are going to send a shitload of money. The problem is they don't have an offensive line, and they don't have a defensive line. So
the problem is the kid's going to transfer after 2 years from Nebraska to go somewhere else.
And they don't have any weapons. They have nothing. So, and hey, look, if Kyle McCord, the Ohio State quarterback, now transfer, if he goes to Nebraska, Dylan Raiola is going to sit. just like he was going to sit with Carson Beck. That's the whole thing that everyone has spotted. But he's going to sit, so he's probably going to leave.
Think though, I'm just going back to Raiola, whatever his name is. He's been advised by supposedly some guys that have played professional sports and kind of know, and kind of know the lay of the land here. Like, what kind of advice? I don't know. Maybe I don't have any idea. I don't have any insight. Maybe he's just going, hey, I want to make sure this is the right choice before I make a decision.
And whoever talked to the media and his family really fucked him. And I think they wanted him to go to Nebraska. Because here's the thing. If he decides to go, because there's a lot of shine on him coming to Georgia, and he was going to be the hot shot, and he was going to be loved by the entire fan base. Now that this whole thing has come and gone, and he decides, you know what, I want to stay. I think I like Georgia's the best fit for me. The shine on him is going to be bad. That's not there anymore, and the grace of the Georgia fans are not going to be there, and that's a really shitty situation. That is a really shitty situation.
I'm going to tell you. I mean, if we're not going to be able to if we don't get a kid, forget the talent level that wants to be here, whose heart and soul is not here, I would rather him go somewhere else.
Well, Kirby really would. That's what's Kirby's idea, and I got to be honest with you. I could be 1,000% wrong. Could be. But I think that's the right approach. I think you have to have guys that care and that will be here for 3 to 4 years. And you know what? You'll probably end up winning. And with those type of guys. Not the guys who are there for the money because, hey, look, and I think this is probably what Kirby's thinking. What happens when there's adversity? Because now with the conferences getting better and the schedule's getting harder, you're going to have 1 to 2 losses. What happens when you get that second loss and you have to win out to get in that 12-team playoff?
Or what happens if you have a bad game and you get benched because you're being pushed because there's depth behind you?
Yeah.
And the guy didn't ask for as much NIL money, but he's whipping your ass on the football field. You're going to take the ball and go to some other school?
Yeah.
I'd rather know that now.
Yeah, and I think that is I think that's the right approach, and I think Kirby has incorporated, unlike Dabo, who hasn't adapted at all, and then you have Kirby and Saban who say, okay, well, look, we're not going to give you a contract. You got to come here to earn. I mean, that's what essentially this all is contracts. You got to come and earn that NIL deal. And care about what we're doing because we can get you to the next level, and that's what's really and you're going to care about this place, and I think that's the right approach. But I could end up being wrong. But hey, look, has USC won a national championship? Has Colorado won a national championship? Has USC won a national championship?
But be careful, Deion's keeping receipts.
Deion, you can keep keeping them. You're a disaster, and I never thought you were going to win. That's why I find this whole thing laughable. So here I am. Come find me, asshole. I never liked you.
Do that.
I'd be fine with it. And after one game, I'm not going to get one game, dude. You got to win 12. You got to win 11 more.
That's what the media does, Max. It's the shiny.
No. It's not the media. It was whenever he once they beat TCU.
I know, but he was leveraging that because that's who he is as a person.
Well, dog, you got to win 11 more of those.
Hey, you don't ever have to argue with me about Deion Sanders. I've been on this a long time, way before you were even born. I know what he is.
Yeah. So,
player.
But anyway, point being, way off track. USC, A&M, Colorado. What are the other teams that have basically said we're going to rent players to have a better record and try to play for a championship? None of them have made the playoffs. None of them have won a national championship. None of them even won a conference championship. So, proof is kind of in the pudding. We'll see if it plays out that way.
I agree.
Okay. All right. So speaking of, that was a great transition, great radio. Speaking of watering down the conference championship, I guess we can talk about. Well, first I want to say this: if we're sitting here and we're Georgia, the best thing for us, and I think all SEC fans of your school, the SEC championship is rendered useless, and Georgia got penalized and they got fucked over by the playoff committee. Whatever. You said, well, they had their whatever. They got fucked over, but whatever. The best thing for Georgia next year and the following years is not to be in the top 10, top 6, but not have records in the SEC.
You're gonna get a situation like you have in the NBA. You're gonna have load management to a certain extent. I think that was already happening. And it's only going to be accelerated now. So yeah, I totally agree. You just want to be in the top shit. You just want to be in the top 12, man. 2 to 3 losses. Maybe you get to rest some of your guys, and wait it out, and then turn it. It's going to be like baseball. Wait to the tournament. How many times have you seen in Major League Baseball? Well, we saw it this year.
Yeah.
Wasn't a team
we saw the back-to-back years.
Braves did it. They were a 500 team at the All-Star break and then got hot at the right time when they won it, whatever year most recently. But that's what this is going to come into, man. You're rendering to a large extent conference championship and regular season. Now, I wouldn't say value less valuable. That's certainly a better way to say it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm in favor of, as far as I'm concerned, playing in the Southeastern Conference Championship ever again. I'd rather not. We're good.
We're good. And fuck, and whatever. We won't talk about that. I do not want to touch that. But I was going to talk about Atlanta and how it's cursed and referees, but that's a different story. But yeah, there's no point of playing in a conference championship, and the new playoff bracket, the 12-team bracket, they're going to have to go back and rework some things, because at the time when they set it up, they thought there was going to be 5 power conferences. There's only now 4, 3, whatever it is. So they're going to have to figure that out. I don't know what they're going to do with that, because the thing was, if you were a conference champion, you would get an automatic bid. That, to me, doesn't really reward anybody, because some conferences are unlike any others, a la Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah, conference championship for the ACC.
Yeah. I mean, the Big 12, Texas being Oklahoma, who lost to South Alabama and has the 116th ranked defense, is not as impressive as Alabama beating Georgia, or Georgia losing only to 3 points in a neutral site against Alabama. They're just not created equally. So there's going to have to be some things that are reworked here to give an incentive to win your championship and to play in those games. But if I was the SEC, I would disband the whole thing. I would disband
play the championship. They're not going to do that because of money.
Too much money. But to me,
I totally agree with you, though. If we had a 12-team playoff going into this year, forget all the other teams. I'm just looking at Southeastern Conference. Who would be in the best position going into a playoff scenario on a 12 team out of the Southeastern Conference? I can tell you.
Ole Miss, Missouri. Yeah, those teams.
Flying low under the radar. Nobody thinks you're as good as you actually are. You get to rest some players. You get to get healthy. You get to have additional practices. That's where you need to be. 8th, 9th. That's crazy. Yeah. That's what do we? I mean, why you play the game to win it, according to
right? There's no reward for going undefeated.
No, none.
You're
penalized.
Yeah,
you gut it out and put all your chips on the table to win and go undefeated, only to end up getting your ass penalized because you're potentially playing in a championship game. So
happened this year.
Well, it is what happened, but. So I'm with you. I think it devalues the regular season. I think they're not paying attention, and they're not using their eyes. They're playing politics.
It's all politics.
And we can sit here and bitch and complain about it, but here's the fact. Georgia had their own destiny in their hands, and they fumbled the ball literally and figuratively. by not getting it done in Atlanta once again. And so
Yeah.
I know we're not wanting to talk that much about that game, but that's what's most disappointing to me is, yeah, Georgia, sure, we've won a lot of big games in the last couple of years, but we've also gone a lot of years without winning big games. And not to be able to come in and when you're the favorite, and then you said neutral site earlier. Let's face it, yeah, it's neutral, but it's in
It was
Georgia.
a 60-40 Georgia crowd.
You got to be able to execute, man. And then when you get away from doing what you've done all year long on the offensive side of the ball, I'm concerned. Did we get tight? Did the coaching staff get tight in the biggest moments? And regardless of what Kirby talks about with continuity on the coaching staff, which is by and large true,
That is true.
in some key positions, i.e. offensive coordinator, even though the guy that's now calling the plays had a lot of input under Monken was one that said, call it like you've never been here before, or you'll never get back here again.
Yeah.
I don't believe that was done.
Yeah. Now some of the game plan, like it's really, I don't know, like let's get into the weeds of this. I don't care. So the first drive, Georgia did it. Bobo had the perfect plan, and you're going against Saban, and he's the greatest coach of all time for a reason. And he adjusted. There's a clip I did not show it to you because I didn't want you to have a stroke, but Saban got on the headset and told the defensive coaches, hey, look, they're doing this motion into the boundary, keeping us tight, then hitting us on the outside. Just play two back, play straight up man, and if they hit explosive plays, they hit explosive plays. If they run it on us, they run it on us. We're just going to have to live with it, but we're not going to we're not letting them do that anymore. And once they made that adjustment, dude, it wasn't until the second half that Georgia woke up again. That's my problem with the whole thing. He didn't adjust, and it was clear as day because someone with a lower football IQ than Mike Bobo. After the second drive where we went 3 and out, I was like, well, that's odd because we're doing the same thing and it's not even doing what it did the first drive. That's weird. So what are we? And then the third drive, 3 and out. Fourth drive, 3 and out, and it just that whole first half, I didn't understand that.
Well, I'm disappointed. Clearly, I haven't. Just so everybody knows, and full disclosure, once we lost that game, and this is how I am, especially at the end of the season, I don't consume any media. I don't listen to the radio talk show. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't go on any kind of website to see what transfer portal. I need time. And maybe this is the wrong way to look at it, but I need time to digest what I just saw and get some distance from it. And I'm not saying I'm Chicken Little and, the sky is falling. I'm not saying that. What I am saying it is a fair critique for a Georgia fan to say, you know what? This was an opportunity, a big opportunity that was missed. Sure. What do I mean by that? I think we could have finally put one of the final nails in the Alabama dynasty. I really could. I think we could have. Yeah. We took the biggest stage, and we played the worst game in it. That's either coaching or execution, probably a combination of both. To go to your point earlier, when you're playing against one of the best coaches that's ever coached, if not the best, you see him making adjustments, just like him pulling Jalen Hurts and putting Tua in.
Yeah.
And we don't make the adjustments on our side. By the way, and you and I off air have talked about this. Would you agree that if we looked and broke down Georgia's play calls all throughout the year, what percentage would be pass versus what percentage would be run?
It was a great deal. And then you take the Alabama game. Is that where you're going?
Yeah,
Look,
and we did completely opposite of that.
so let's talk
Put the
about
hands
that.
in Carson Beck's. I mean, put the game.
Well,
in
that's what they
Carson
did in the
Beck's
second
hands.
half, and they scored fucking 20 unanswered points. It's so mind-boggling. But look, if you don't believe us, and you're the Georgia fan who goes, well, this is a Mike Bobo hating show, and Kirby and the proof
I
is
respect the
in
heck
this
out of
in the stats. The numbers don't lie. Georgia ran the ball 37 times. 37. Have they done that all year? Have they done it all year? There's not been you can go back to every single game that they won. Every game, well, all 12 of them. They did not run the ball. Maybe UAB UAB, Ball State, and UT Martin. You might get me there. But when we played big boy football, we did not run the ball 37 times in a game. We threw the ball 37 times.
We ran enough to make them have to respect it so we could throw the ball.
Yeah, we were running about 20 to 30 in that, low 30s.
Being effective, but not great. That's what we were all year. Effective.
Yeah, we were a passing team, and we were more of like a air raid space zone team, and we just abandoned that in the biggest stage. And look, Alabama's front. We all said it. We said it on the last time we were on here. Alabama's front seven is better than Georgia's front seven. Alabama's front seven is probably the best in the country. Why are we trying to gash?
And I'm going to tell you what this means long term for Georgia. I don't know.
I don't think it means a whole lot.
Well, maybe you don't, man. Maybe you don't. But I'll tell you this: whenever and Nick Saban's been doing it a hell of a lot longer than Kirby Smart. But I would say, by and large, if you looked on paper doesn't matter, but in some ways it does. We were evenly matched with Alabama. And then what they used to say about Bear Bryant, he could take his and beat you, or he could take yours and beat you. And that, to me, that game epitomized why we may never get over the hump of Alabama. And I would have rather with Saban. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I was – it could have – honestly, if we would have lost to LSU – Texas A&M, any other school, I probably would have had a much easier time living with it than I do with Alabama. I really, because that's been our biggest rival, regardless of what people want to say. That's been our biggest rival in the country, and we beat them once, and that's it. Think about how many times Alabama has beaten. We beat them once, Max, when it mattered.
It was a big enchilada. I'm not going to complain about that.
Okay. I mean, dude, I'm not complaining about it, but I'm just saying, can you call yourself the dominant program if you've only beat them once? Here's the answer for all us Georgia fans, if we're being honest. No, we can't. And we had a chance to do that, and our destiny was in our own hands. So if everybody wants to cry, including this guy who, for a grown man who's 52, if it would have done any damn good, I would have cried. It doesn't do us any good. We didn't get it done. We're not as good as they are. Our coaching staff right now is not as good as they are, and our players didn't execute. That's it on the biggest stage. Now, did that change next year? God, I hope so. And I do think I'm not saying blow the coaching staff up or do any, but it's fair to be critical of what we saw and be very concerned that if we are lucky enough, because that's the other thing. I'm 52, man. I remember where I was sitting when we won the first one. I was 9 years old. I knew where I was at on the second one. I knew where I was at. They don't come along, my point, very often. And for all of us just to assume as Georgia fans, we'll be there again and we'll get them next time. Fuck that shit, dude. Fuck that shit. Take the fucking prize when it's in front of you, and we failed to do it. And that's why I am so incredibly irritated and pissed off. I never took it for granted, and I'm so irritated that people are like, oh, well, good year, Georgia. And no, it was a disappointing year. We got beat against a team that we should have won against. Yeah. And we were evenly matched from a talent standpoint, maybe even better. Now we were better, but so were they. Everybody's banged up. Boo fucking who? We didn't execute, and we called the game contrary to the way we've called it all year long. Why is that? Why is that? And is that going to be a
effect
that we have to be worried about in big games going forward?
Well, I don't think it's big games. I'll push back on that. I don't think it's big games. I think it's the Saban effect. I think Mike Bogle has it. I think
against Alabama is a big game, Chief.
Well, okay, but like whenever we're playing LSU in the SEC championship, I'm not going to worry that much about Bobo and Kirby getting their ass tight. I'm just not. I think it's the Saban effect. I think they have a pucker factor when they go against Saban because they know how good. Obviously, he is the greatest coach of all time. He's about to pass Bear Bryant with national championships this year. So, yeah. By the way, Alabama's going to win the national championship. Wake up, everybody! Wake up! And hey, good job, playoff committee. You're going to get. Well, no, you're not going to get what you want. So,
What do you think they want?
Oh, Michigan? They would jerk themselves off if it was Michigan and Washington or Michigan and Texas. They would love that. They don't want an SEC team to win again because here's the thing. If Alabama wins, there's a huge point of Georgia being in that playoff because really the only team that could stop them. But look, here's the reason why
I really hate Alabama. I want everybody to understand.
Man.
I hate them. I hate their fans and how arrogant with good cause they are. But I hope they beat everybody's ass. I really do, just to make a fucking point. They don't know. They had them ranked 8th. Are you kidding me?
It's so stupid. And the reason why Texas is in this thing is because they had that head-to-head. Week two. It doesn't even matter. Week 2. So that I don't want to even hear about. Because it should have been, if we're talking about who it should have been. Should have been the 4 best team, which Michigan, Washington, Alabama, Georgia. Sorry, Florida State, you got fucked again. You're not that good, bro. You're just not. You played an average LSU team,
bro.
Yeah, sorry. I hate to cry about it, but you didn't play anybody. LSU is a average SEC team at best. They're not. They got beat by everybody else in the SEC. I don't know what you want to do about that.
Not by everybody.
So, hey, look, you had a chance to make a statement against Florida, who's one of the worst teams in the SEC, and you fucked around with them for 4 quarters. So
look at Georgia. We had a chance to make a statement too, and we fucked that up. So
not really in our competition. But look, the reason why Georgia lost, the reason why Georgia lost was the defensive line and the offensive line, and we got our ass beat up front, and that's
problems we saw all year.
Yeah, and yes, and what I said to you after the game, I said this is everything that we talked about all year, and I got crucified on Dom the Dog for saying these things on social media and the people that read the blog. Guys, it's very obvious whenever you watch games, you have to have a dominant offensive defensive line to win a championship. Look at the past 2 years with Georgia. And that's what Alabama has.
It was leaky, both sides. I mean, was it awful? No, but we were not dominant. And
offensive line was way better than defensive line. Defensive line has been bad all year. We don't have the.
I would say, look, I'm hypercritical as everybody.
Well, and for Georgia standards,
subpar.
Yeah, for Georgia standards, it was not where it needed to be. So
we also didn't have the linebackers healthy enough to be able. I mean, the outside linebackers to be able to contain the outside run. That was a problem all year long. Yes, teams could run on us all year long. We saw it.
Yeah, we saw it. So I mean, those are things that are going to have to be fixed. I have confidence in Kirby Smart to address. I think we are going to address it through the portal, through recruiting. So, what? You don't think they're going to do a good job with it?
When I'm shaking my head like that, that's where we're going now. That's where we're going is he will address it, and we don't even know who the fuck we're going to get. He will address it, and I agree. I've got a ton of confidence, but now we have to rely on some other fucking guy who's going to be NIL hungry or who couldn't make it on his team, and he got his feelings hurt. Now he's going to come to Georgia and set the world on fire. I just think you've got
Well,
so
that's where we're at in college
very-
football. Well, that's where we're at with college
Okay,
football.
well, that you're right. That is what we.
We got to play the game as well as everybody else. I don't know what to tell you, but look, I'm not gonna worry. I'm not in the same camp as you and worrying about it. I'll give Kirby grace for another 2 years. I think two things can be true at the same time.
Kirby's got grace for a lot longer. And look, let me be clear.
No, let me tell you, 2 years. You got as many
Got more
championships.
grace than that. The program's not going to fall off the face of the earth.
No, they're not going to be like a Clemson.
But it's okay for us as Georgia fans when we got a coach that's being paid this much money, and there's this much money floating around the program, and we've been told about how we're different. It's okay to be somewhat critical and not be looking at Georgia program with the rose-colored glasses on and ask some really hard questions.
Well, of course.
And I think look, I go back to last year, and I don't want to, whatever. I mean, we can't start losing our head and having kids, get arrested all the time and all these other things that kind of goes through it. When we talk about discipline, we got to get some of this shit under control and come back and put our feet on the ground and go back to work and eat off the floor again because
I think that's going to happen. I do. I do. I have confidence in that. But look, I think two things can be true. I keep saying it because Kirby said two things in the two national championship post games that I have thought about since we've lost Alabama. One, the wind gets a lot harder when you're on top, and it blows a little bit harder. That is true, and Georgia fans need to want to have the expectations of winning national championships. That was his shot to the Georgia fans. Like, hey, we got to keep this momentum thing going. We got to keep pushing. We can.
You think the fans let him down this year?
Let me get to the second point. And then the second thing is, this doesn't come very often. That was after TCU. Like, we can't take this for granted. What they did those 2 years shouldn't be taken for granted. This doesn't happen every single year, every single season. Those two things can be true. And the problem with what plagued the Mark Richt era and what could potentially plague, because there's been a change, but it could go. We could fall back on bad habits. The Georgia fans who and the boosters who go, well, things will stay the same the way they are, which was the problem with the Richt thing, and the Georgia way. We do this, and look, that's going to be the problem. And then also the fans who are hypercritical and think that Georgia should win 65-7 every single game, which in game I want that to happen, but obviously that's not realistic. That also has to be fixed too. So there's two things going on at once, and I think right now we're not at a pivotal moment in Georgia football history, but as a fan base, as an organization, as a program, but we're starting to get up there. The fear is you can't be like Clemson, and there's going to have to be something. We have to keep pushing, and that goes with the team, that goes with the fans, that goes with everyone involved. My fear is the people that are up on the top, the older crowd, are just happy with what has happened the past 2 years, and that Georgia still is the best program in college football. That just
I don't see how you say we're the best program in college football, man. We're not. We're one of. We're not.
Okay, yeah, sure, whatever word you want to use. But what I'm saying is, nothing's going to stay the same, and nothing like there's going to be change. So what I worry about is everyone getting really complacent with everything and not pushing and not wanting more. This program has unlimited potential, and it should be an expectation to win championships every single year.
Well, and also, I don't want to be like Tyler from Spartanburg, but don't shout down the people who have legitimate questions. For example, do I think the Georgia way, and do I think having all ex-Georgia players and alumni, or not all, but a lot of Georgia players and Georgia alumni on staff is a good thing? Yeah, all things being fairly equal, but in the world of NIL and portal transfer, I'm not sure how much that, honestly, I'm not really sure how much that matters to these kids as much as it used to. And secondarily, I don't want Kirby to lose his ability to be objective because these are the guys he played with. These are Georgia alumni. They're damn good dogs, and nothing's ever going to change that. But that doesn't mean that we can't criticize them. And just because I criticize them doesn't mean that I want Kirby's head on the chopping block. But I just want some really hard questions. When you come off a 12-0 season and then shit the bed in the last game of the year, and you can call it whatever you want to, whether we lost by 3 or for 30, we shit the bed. We didn't execute, and we didn't play as well as we could have. Right. There is some criticism. Whether I've hit the mark on what that criticism should be, I don't know. But I do think there should be some really hard questions. And now we're going to have a 5-star quarterback that potentially flips. And I don't know who the lead recruiter is on that. But that's, these are all really valid questions to be asking. And I'm completely fine with the kid going to Nebraska and we're getting the kid out of Connecticut, Puglisi, which I think is just as good. What do I know? But I mean, the guy looks solid to me, and he hasn't been a whatever you call him, Goldilocks. This side over here looks softer and better and all that. I don't care about that, but these are legitimate questions that we should be asking, and that way we don't fall into the world of the Clemsons. And anytime Dabo gets on a TV or a radio show and somebody criticizes him, he gets all defensive. You know what? Yeah, dude. You should get criticized every once in a while, and there should be questions asked as to why we cannot seem to get over this Alabama hump. If we're one of the best programs in the country, one time after all these many years of playing them, we'll get to find out next year. We got to go to Tuscaloosa again. Thanks, SEC. Yeah. Go to Austin and Tuscaloosa. Yeah. Appreciate that, bitches.
Yeah. And we play Alabama and Auburn back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, well, appreciate that. So we'll find out. But I just look, it's over. It's done with. This game coming up in the Orange Bowl, insignificant other than whoever our early enrollees are, who the hell knows at this point. They get extra practice time. Other than that, it doesn't matter. This game is completely insignificant.
It's insignificant. The only reason why Georgia fans should even watch this is because Georgia's playing a football game, and that there's going to be a lot of guys that we haven't seen all year playing this game.
And may not be here next year, by the way.
Yeah.
So enjoy it while it lasts.
But I don't know. I think the Orange Bowl is whatever you make it out to be. It doesn't. The season's already over. We're not in the playoffs. That's where we're at as a program, and that's fine by me. I mean, honestly, I don't even know if I'm going to watch the playoff games.
I'll watch Georgia. I'm not watching the playoff games.
I might tune in for a second or two just to see what's going on, but I have I don't have any interest. If I think what's going to happen, I just don't really care at all. I don't know. I feel fine about where the program's at. I think I think what you said, there's going to have to be tough questions asked. And look, I don't think Bobo should be gone tomorrow because of.
I don't either, man. I'm not saying that.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everyone else that will be in the comment section. Why Bobo haters? It's not Bobo hating. It's just a fact. Whenever you had Todd Monken, like you said, call the game like you're never going to be here again, and Bobo didn't do that, and there weren't, and so. Those things are going to have to be asked. We'll see what happens next year, and we'll just go back at it. I mean,
I'll go one step further, and I know they are. These type of analytics. Why did we have so many injuries? What is going on with our nutrition and training?
You have seasons like that.
I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. I'm just saying it should be looked at as a brand new perspective, given the empirical evidence that we have seen this year. Did we do something different than what we've done in historical past, or where we were fucking injury plagued all year long? I don't know. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. But those types of things are going to have to be broken down and looked at throughout the organization and figure out why the fuck we ended up short yet again when we could have. If we would have made this game, I agree with you. That's the reason I think Alabama's going to win it. Alabama, coming out of the Southeastern Conference, and I'm biased and I don't give a shit, it's the best conference and they're the best team that's got to play. I hope they end up winning it all. And you don't know how bad that pains me to say that. I hate
it
those.
sucks. It sucks. I mean, it'd feel good for like a half a second if Michigan pulled an upset, but also at the same time, then we got really big issues.
It wouldn't feel good to me at all, actually.
That's why I said it would be a half a second. Then it would be like, oh well, fuck. Where really are we? Who are we really?
Why didn't Georgia send the coaching staff to the other teams and record the video? That's what I'm going to be saying. There's something to this. They figured it out.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think to panic about the Georgia program is a little premature. I think you're not going to win the championship every single year. You're not going to be in the playoff every single year. Well, now we are, but
I don't know about that.
Dude, Georgia's going to be in the playoff every fucking year as long as things have stayed the same. I think so, but whatever. I could be.
I don't think there's any guarantees of that, Max. I mean, it's as fluid and as dynamic, and how fast changing the college football landscape is. For you to say, I would say for the next, if things remain the same, the next 2 years, yeah, I think you're probably right.
Well, that's what
I have
that's
no
what
idea.
I mean when I say forever. 2 years. College football, it'd
be nice to be 24.
Well, college football is one of those sports where it changes rapidly and the landscape changes rapidly. So we'll see what happens. But I to put a bow on everything, to panic, I don't think there's no need to panic. To ask questions and to be critical, I think that's totally fair. And we'll see what happens next season. There's nothing really to bitch, moan, and complain. I mean, whatever.
Georgia fans.
Well, you can't do it. You can't go back in the past anymore and fix it. Trust me, if that was the case, I would do it. Quantum leap. Shout out. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. But I feel again next year I feel as good as I did this year about winning and getting a national championship. So we'll see.
Well, here's what I can say. If there's any silver lining from all this, it gives the University of Georgia one more year to get the parade and the national championship celebration really figured the fuck out. Because the last couple I've been to, shitty weather, bad systems, and really fucking weird. So if we can, I'm all for having them if we ever get to another one. But let's do this one a little bit better.
Well, hopefully there won't be any construction on the stadium. So we'll see. All right. So if you made it this far, because there's actually people that watch this consistently, we'll probably be. Well, I'll start doing solo shows. That because I'm probably gonna do like different things. Just we'll try that out. We'll see how it goes. And then we'll have these big shows. You can have solo shows if you want. If you wanted to rant about something.
Nobody wants to see my solo show. Nobody wants to see me with.
Well, I don't know if anyone wants to see my solo show, but I think from now till a couple of weeks leading up to spring practice, I think this, and obviously we'll do a bowl game. I think we're going to be back talking about the recruiting class whenever that gets wrapped up. When the portal gets wrapped up, and then we'll be in every once in a while, probably every other week, just talk about the topics of the week and figure everything out. But yeah, I think probably every week, depending on what's going on after the Orange Bowl, we'll go from there, right? I think that's fair.
Yeah, sounds good. Whatever.
Yeah, we'll figure it out on our end.
Stay tuned.
Oh yeah, people are going to be waiting on the edge of their seat. All right, I didn't write anything for Dawn of the Dog because we're changing WordPress to Voltex. Don't know what that's going to be like. Hopefully, it works. It probably won't, but we'll be positive about it.
Are you fluent in Voltex?
I was fluent in WordPress, so
Just watch Star Trek.
I knew that was coming. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have a blog up sometime soon. Probably, honestly, I don't know what I'm going to write. It'll probably be like I don't know, state of the program. I don't know. I'll figure that out. Thanks for the advice. So check out Down the Dog to fix your itch for Georgia football and Georgia basketball. Evidently, hey, we could do that. We got a good basketball program. So who knew? Hey, we're a basketball school anyway. Doesn't really matter. And the baseball team is supposed to be good. So who knows? If you're really into that type of thing, the three people that aren't, we'll talk about it.
Golf is coming around too. We got
hey, you want to talk about consistency and winners? Georgia golf programs. Suck that, Alabama.
Where's your Bubba Watson, bitch?
Yeah. Justin Thomas is nothing. So Dawn of the Dog, check it out. Get your football fix and your basketball fix and any other thing. I talked about how college football is dying, which is kind of what we talked about here. So check that out. Your shipping needs, go to Unishippers Atlanta and ask for pick a random person.
Brandon Radiker.
I think you already picked Brandon last week.
Pat Lampasi.
Okay, Pat, who's a Missouri guy. So, and you can say how bad Missouri. Yeah. All right. Unishippers Atlanta, Dawn of the Dog. Check them out. And we'll see you on the other side.
All right. See ya.